obviously the internet has changed the way people buy and sell. Most people think that that's when I say that the internet has changed the way people buy and sell, they think that I am talking about Amazon and e-commerce and eBay and online auctions, and obviously those are true. But I'm also talking about the traditional role of buyer and seller. If we go back before Google, people used to meet for 2-hour lunches. They used to take clients out or prospects out for 4-hour golf events or 3-hour sporting events. And before Google, why did a prospect give you 2 hours out of their day? Why did someone else give their 2 hours to allow you to take them to lunch? And the reason was they didn't know anything about you. So whatever you were selling, they needed to know about your company, your products, your solutions. Now, they may have heard about it from a friend, seen an ad, but they really needed to learn about your company, and they needed to learn about you, the salesperson. And so a buyer was willing to give up 2 hours out of their day or more to meet with you and learn about that. Fast forward to today. What percentage of prospects will Google your company prior to a meeting? It's probably going to be close to 100%. So buyers today have what I call buyer's intelligence. They're pretty smart about us. They're smart about us, the sellers. So the question is, what do I know about you? What kind of sales intelligence do I have about you? If you know everything there is to know about me, at least you think you do, what can I learn about you before I walk in the room? Your company, your goals, your issues, your competitors, even you, the person, because people buy from people who they like. And in those 2-hour meetings, that's what we used to do. We used to question our prospects, our clients, get to know them, their families, their hobbies. Again, nobody gives us 2 hours anymore. So what can we do on the front end to find out that information? At the end of the day, people are still buying from people who they like and who they trust. But buyers don't give us that 2 hours anymore to learn about them. So we need to do our homework on the front end.
I feel like a lot of people come into a session with you and they think, I use Google all the time.
Sure.
I use search engines all the time. I know kind of what I'm doing. What would you say the difference is between just knowing Google or looking someone's website up and actually when you really teach them to go deeper? What's the difference?
Well, I think a lot of people think that they do their homework, that they do their research. They'll Google somebody's company. They'll go visit the company website. Well, let me ask you something. Have you ever gone to a company's website and there's a big yellow starburst on the homepage that says, click here to find out why we're going bankrupt? No. But if you're going to sell to that company, don't you want to know that information? Most people, when they are doing Google searching, what they're finding is what I call Google kindergarten. They're finding the basic stuff, the stuff that the other person wants us to see. Their LinkedIn profile, of course, their website. And what's a website? It's really nothing more than someone's online brochure. And so what I teach is how to go deeper. How to use LinkedIn, how to use Google, but how to use those tools and other tools, other social media tools, the invisible web or websites that probably 99% of the world's never even heard of. How do you use these tools to find the deeper information? News articles, press releases, court documents, competitive information, trade information, RFPs, proposals, documents that the other person has written, all sorts of stuff that's out there, but usually hidden to most people.
Help me understand a little bit about how we traditionally used to be taught with sales and what these better questions do when you've done your homework.
Sure. Well, I think let's back up a little bit because you talked about prospecting. And I think the key is determining who your prospects are. The old way of doing things is opening up the phone book and calling every single person on there. And mathematically, eventually someone will buy from you. It works, but it's not very fun. And so what I like to say is that the first part is determining who you want to contact. Now, there's a lot of things you can do on the front end. Who are your best prospects demographically, size of company, industry, and even psychographically? What makes a good client for you? What makes a good customer for you? Once you've identified that, the neat thing is some of the things that I teach is how to find more of those people. Again, using traditional tools like list building tools. How do we find already existing lists? How do we leverage databases? Databases that a lot of companies pay a lot of money for. I can help you find them for free. And how do we leverage those databases to identify those key prospects, those key potential customers? And even using tools like social media. How do you really hone in? How do I say, my best prospect is a surgeon in Atlanta with 2 kids, and he's a graduate of the University of Texas. Well, as crazy as it might seem, I can help you find that kind of information. Now, once you find the right prospect, then again, it's doing your homework, finding some news articles about the other person. Where does the person donate money? Politically and volunteer, nonprofit organizations, because that gives me insight into the person's core values. What's important to that individual? Again, do they have a family? What are their hobbies? Of course, look at their business and their business issues. When I know that, I'm again able to ask those better questions. Now, I might not say to you in that first meeting, hey, I've done a little spying on your family. I know what nonprofits you donate to, and I know all about your kids. But if I know you have kids, I know you like golf, that's going to steer my questions in a certain direction. If I know you're conservative politically, that's going to steer my questions a little bit differently than, say, if I know you're quite liberal. If I know that your organization is very charitable, that's going to steer my questions in a different direction. So having that information, again, I might not even let you know that I have that information, but I'm going to steer the questions in a way that I know you care about. The other benefit of having information is when I know something about you, when I know something about my prospects, it gets me excited. Now, sometimes it's really cool things you can find. This person played college basketball, or they were an alternate on the Olympic hockey team. It could be that they were an artist. They're a photographer, and they've got a beautiful website. Now, I will mention that kind of information. Because the other people always like to feel good about themselves, right? I mean, what is Facebook all about? It's being liked. And so people like it. People do business with people who they like, but people also do business with people who like them. And so that's part of it. But also from a selfish perspective, when I find out interesting things, cool things about another person, I'm more excited. I'm more passionate. Now, again, people do business with people who they like. And in business, it's all about the little things, the accumulation of little things. When I find out something just interesting and cool about the other person, I get excited. My energy is up. My confidence is up. And I'm even a little bit more passionate. The other person can pick up on that. And so that's also part of the whole engagement process is showing your passion, your excitement, your energy, because again, people do business with people who they like.
Is technology, is it possible to be running a business right now without technology? And the second question is, can anyone learn to do what you teach?
Well, I think there's this perception that young people know all the technology, they grew up on the technology, and they know how to use it in a way that I'm talking in terms of sales. Well, first of all, I can guarantee you that young people don't know what I'm teaching. The power of really intuitive technology is it's intuitive. I can go into Google, I type in a couple things, stuff just shows up. The problem with really good technology is it's intuitive. I go into Google, I type in a couple things, stuff just shows up. So young people today really honestly don't learn the inside techniques that I teach. A lot of it's based on mathematical equations. So I can't tell you the number of young people who attend my presentations, 23, 24, 28-year-olds who come up after me and they are angry because they're saying, my goodness, why didn't I know this stuff in college? College would have been so much easier. The second thing about young people is they've also grown up in an era where communication has been electronic, text messaging, Facebook messaging, again, much less face-to-face because they've never gone through a 2-hour lunch. So not only do I teach the technology that most young people don't know, but I also teach what do you do with it. Because a lot of younger people, again, they've never experienced the 2-hour lunch, the 4-hour meeting. Their world is 140 characters on Twitter. And so, yes, I teach how to find the information in ways they never thought possible. But the more important part is how do you effectively use it? How do you use it without being a stalker? How do you use it to ask better questions, to engage somebody? So for younger people, it's wonderful. What's cool is they get the technology and they get it really fast. And then they're fascinated by, wow, I've never thought of using it that way. Now, on the flip side of that, older folks who did grow up in 2-hour lunches and all this technology stuff is fairly new to them. Well, first off, I would like to say that I think most people, especially folks in business, are a little more tech savvy than I think we give them credit to. Now, again, same thing as with younger people. They might not know all of the different websites. They might have heard of Instagram and Pinterest and things, but they've never really tried them. But once you show them, they understand the concepts. And again, what I teach, it's not rocket science stuff. When I show it to folks, they go, oh, yeah, well, that's logical. I just didn't know you could do it. Or I never even knew that button was there. Or I didn't even understand that search engine existed. So it's showing people that the tools are there and showing them very easy ways to access it. The nice thing that the older generation have, and I would say older generation, not that old, you have people who are over 40. Those are people that grew up in the era when they did have 2-hour lunches. They engaged with clients. They did have those relationships because it was those days before Google where you did have to go and sell. So they might take a little bit longer on the technology, not as long as you'd think, but the flip side is they completely get the message, and in a way, they feel very refreshed. They're like, I knew this intuitively all along. I knew that this is how sales was supposed to be. Everyone's telling me I'm supposed to be on LinkedIn groups and I'm going to sell through Twitter. And I knew that was wrong. I knew it's still about people. And so in a way, what I teach is enlightening and refreshing.